Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to be talking about The Alchemist. It is a 1988 fiction novel by Paulo Coelho. It was published by Bantam, Doubleday, Dell. This is my review of the book, okay? Before I go a step further, I'm going to give a warning. I'm going to be talking about faith in this review, and the reason why is I read this book I had seen this book on a lot of lists, and I came across a very, very discounted copy of the book, and it was very, very cheap for me to pick up, so I snatched it right up, and I read it. And so I didn't know it was about faith, but the book is massively about faith. It's the main theme of the book, right? So I don't really think it's possible to talk about the book without talking about the type of faith that the author is discussing within the book, and without talking about your own faith. So if faith is not your jam, that's cool. I get it, right? Pull the ripcord now. Go watch a lot of other cool things on YouTube. I'll give you some suggestions. Scotty Kramer's BMX channel. Matt Click over on Absolute Tabletop. Really fantastic content. Grace Randolph, best reviewer for movies on YouTube. Lots of other stuff to watch. I get it if you're like, I don't want to hear somebody talk about faith. That's cool. Put the record now, man. There's other stuff on YouTube. I get it, right? Okay. But if you're ready to journey forward, let's talk about it, all right? All right, so let me talk about what I liked about this book first and foremost. Paulo Coelho is a straight baller writer when it comes to craft. He's got really strong craft. He can write well. He does a few things I really like. So one, he is easy to read. He is easy to understand. He paints visual pictures with his words. Those pictures are entertaining. They're pleasant to look at. He is an engaging author. So Coelho is a brilliant person. He is an engaging author. His craft is strong from the perspective of being a writer. Okay. I also really like some of the things. One of the things he tried to keep the story, the fiction story within. By the way, there are spoilers for The Alchemist within this content. Okay, just giving that warning. So Paulo, one of the things he does is he introduces one character at a time, keeps it rather than like three characters at the same time, right? Keeps it simple to follow, uses archetypes. His content is, even though there's like well over 100, it's not a long book. Okay. But even with that, novels have a lot of words, so with that said, his work is cohesive and concise and clear. Okay. That's a big deal. You do not get that from a lot of authors. That's the stuff I liked. All right, let's keep going because there's a few things I didn't like and didn't agree with, okay? That's another thing is I wouldn't say that there was very much at all in this that I didn't like. I disagree with this author on many, many, many points. I'll get into a few of them here, right? But overall, I really liked his craft. I liked Coelho's craft and the way he approaches writing. Really solid, okay? I want to talk about some of the characters. So the main character in this book, so what is the story of this book, right? The Alchemist is about a boy who goes on an adventure to find treasure, right? And along that way, he is seeking the alchemist so that he can get the ultimate treasure, which is being able to turn lead into gold, right? Which turns out to be an allegory. We'll get into all that. But essentially, it's about a boy who goes on an adventure to find treasure, and it's about these people that he meets along the way. He meets the king of Salem on the way. He meets a crystal merchant who is a Muslim who dreams of going to Mecca. He meets a girl with raven hair. She's the daughter of a shepherd. He meets Fatima, who he declares to be the love of his life. He meets an Englishman who is also pursuing the secret to alchemy, turning lead into gold. And finally, he meets the alchemist. The alchemist is the person who has figured out the secret of turning lead into gold. Okay? This book talks a lot about principles. One of the principles it talks about is the principle of favorability. The idea that beginner's luck is a true thing, and that when you try something for the first time, you will gain luck, right? First thing I disagree with the author. I don't really think there's luck at all. I think, so the author is very clear about what he believes to be the spiritual forces in this world and how they're structured, right? In my opinion, there's a spiritual force that controls this world, and luck ain't got nothing to do with it. Everything that happens is under the control of the spiritual controller of the universe, right? To me, that's very clear. So I don't think there's anything as such as beginner's luck or middle person's luck or end person's luck. There's no luck. Luck is it's not a useful concept. All right. The book talks a lot about dreaming and achieving. All right. So, it talks a lot about dreaming. The book also talks a lot about omens. All right. In this book, the boy is given by, the king of Salem. He meets the king of Salem, and the king of Salem gives him these two, items that can be used to actually, interpret, omens, actually that are tools of interpretation tools of divination, tools that can help you to know your fate as you go forward, to know the future. He is given Urim and Thummim. Okay. It's a black and white stone. If you know anything about the Holy Bible, the Christian Bible actually talks about these, and they are the stones that were on the breastplates of the Israelite priests, right? And so he's given these like they're dice, which I thought that's kind of weird, right? Okay. And it's a black stone and a white stone, and the king of Salem says you can use these to read omens, to kind of figure out your way through life. And then Coelho goes much further, the author, and says throughout the book that any form of divination you want is pretty much equal. It's all you tapping into the universal language, right? To the soul of the world. And so now he doesn't list these directly, but he makes it very clear that if you use the I Ching, if you use the tarot, if you use the Urim and the Thummim, if you use dice, it's all the same, man. They're all just tools of divination. We're connecting to the language of the universe. We're connecting to the soul of the world, and it's all the same, right? And so that divination, tools of divination are of equal value. Totally disagree. To me, tools of divination absolutely should not be used by good people, right? In today's society, we have been given sacred texts. We turn to the sacred texts. We see what the sacred texts say. We read the sacred texts. We give our own commentary on the sacred text. We find people who have studied the sacred text for decades and have proven the value of their commentary on the sacred texts. We don't go using tarot cards to find out our future. It's just not a good path. Totally disagree with Coelho on this point within the book, right? Now, again, I want to say, I think it's cool that one of the things I think is cool about Coelho's book is what he thinks, right? So you can disagree with him, and that's discourse, right? I love that. You know what I mean? You've written your book. I get to commentate on your book. That's discourse. It's an unusual discourse, but that's modern discourse, and I like that, right? So I like it that it was very clear what Coelho believes. Cool, all right? Totally disagree with him on almost everything, right? But just go in there. All right, so he also talks about everything being written by one hand, right? So this gets to the idea, and then this brought up the question of the classic question. Now, this is a major break with Coelho. I really disagree with him on this, and I really was shocked that he went there in the book in the way that he did. Okay, so one of the things he talks about is he's like, hey, there's this idea that everything was written by one hand. And I'm like, oh, wait, hey, I'm hearing you, man. What you saying there, right? Because that's what I believe. I believe that past, present, future written by one being, right? Who rules over all, right? And I thought, okay, does Coelho believe the same thing? Nope. So the king of Salem meets the boy in the book, right? And the king of Salem says, oh, hey, I see you're reading a book. And the boy says, yeah. What do you think of this book? And the king of Salem says, I read that book. That book's terrible. You know why? Because that book teaches an age-old lesson that's in a whole bunch of books. Says the same thing a whole bunch of books said, right? Which is that You go on that the secret was with, actually, the point he made was he was saying that the book had given this trite piece of information. I don't even remember what it was. It was like something really common. Like, here's a good one. Like, the journey is, the journey is as valuable as the destination. Some old saw piece of wisdom, right? That is just like old as dirt, and you've heard it a million times. Guess what? Coelho acknowledges in his book that you can say the same thing in your book that's been said in 1,000 books, and that makes it boring. And then he does the same thing, right? So here's the same thing he does. To me, all of religion, you can take all of religion, it falls into one of two categories. Every person on this planet believes one of two things. Who is God? Man is God, or God is God. Okay? Woman is God, or God is God. Man/woman is God, or God is God. Let's do it that way. Man/woman is God, or God is God. What do you believe? Tell you very clear what I believe. God is God, right? If you don't believe that, or you believe some twist on that, in my opinion, you believe man is God. Guess what Coelho believes? Man is God, right? Okay, so man/woman is God. Puts it right in the book, right? Right in the book. Like, it's about 2/3 of the way through, maybe 3/4 of the way through the book. And he goes, and then the boy discovered that the being he had tried to be and talk to, through the universal language and understanding the soul of the world, trying to talk to God, he realized that God was within him and he was within God, and that they were the same, right? Man is God. Man, woman is God. Done, right? Like, it is so common. It's just common as dirt, right? And that's just it. I totally disagree. Man, woman is not God. God is God. Holy, set apart. That's the key, right? If you understand what the word holy is, you don't believe man, woman is God. You believe God is God. And that is a fundamental difference. What about atheists? Well, guess what they believe? Man, woman is God. They're saying, I, in my infinite wisdom, know that there is no God. Or even an agnostic saying, yeah, there's not enough information for me to know there's God. That's putting you in the place of God, in my opinion. Even atheists and agnostics, they don't escape. They believe man, woman is God. They just put themselves in the place of God, right? That's my take. I will say this. I disagree with the vast majority of everything that was in this book. I love that we can have this discussion. I love that Coelho's work brings this discussion forward, and that he is not wishy-washy about what he believes, right? He puts it out on the line. I love that, right? So I actually did enjoy reading this book, even though I disagreed with virtually 100% in it. All right. Okay. All right. So, the other thing that the book came forward with is this idea of a huge theme in the book was, no matter how old you are, okay, it's never too late for adventure. It's never too late to go pursue treasure, right? And it was saying, hey, don't be that person who's like, you know what? I heard that insurance is profitable. So even though I want to be a rock and roll singer, right? I'm going to become an insurance salesperson, and that way I can have a nice ranch and a nice boat, and I can give everything I want to the people I love, right? So, he's like, Dad, don't do that, man. Don't give up. Don't give up. You can always go pursue your treasure. If you want to be a rock and roll star and play guitar, it's never too late for you to do that, ever, right? And he uses the boy to make this point, right? And the boy comes across a girl with raven hair, the shepherd's daughter, and he's like, "Whoa, man, we talked together. We really like each other. Should I stay here with the girl with the raven hair and maybe marry the shepherd's daughter?" He's like, "No, I better keep moving." Right? Then he comes to this well and he meets this chick named Fatima, and he goes, "There's no question now. I know it. This is the love of my life. She is the person I should be with forever. I got to be with this lady, right? And this is it. I know this is the person. This is my soulmate. This is it, right? I found her, right?" And then he's like, "Oh, I better go look for my treasure. Bye, Fatima." Ooh, right? I'm like, what? And he tells her, "I'll be back for you. Don't worry. I'm going to try my treasure and I'm coming right back for you." I'm like, all right, 100% disagree. This dude is a fool. Coelho is no fool. He's a very intelligent man. He clearly has studied religion and wants to seek wisdom in life. I get it. I'm trying to do the same thing, right? I go to the sacred texts. I read everything I can in the one book that I consider a sacred text. I'm trying to figure out life. And I do that as much as I can by following the one being I believe that writes everything, right? Not me, right? And he's doing the same thing. So he's not a fool, but I think it is so ridiculous to believe that you can chase your treasure whenever you want. Now, points to Coelho. Big time. He did something really big. I thought I have to give him points for this. The boy says, hey, Fatima, you and me are soulmates, man. I love you more than anything in life, and I'm going to go chase my treasure, and I'm going to come right back to you, right? End of the book, guess what he finds? He finds his treasure, right? Gets everything he ever wanted. Whole big, literally a box full of treasure, like jewels, crowns, coins, the whole nine. Gets all of his treasure. And then is not with Fatima. Does not end the book with Fatima. So at the end of the book, he has chased his treasure. He gets his treasure. At the end of The Alchemist, what he gets for chasing his treasure is no spouse, no soulmate, no one who loves him with him. And if he had married Fatima, they could have added children to that marriage. Nothing. All the boy has at the end of his journey, right, in The Alchemist, at the end of The Alchemist, the boy has his treasure. He doesn't have Fatima. He doesn't have children. Okay? And I have to admit, right, so Coelho goes, you should never stop chasing your treasure. But he had enough courage to show what happens. If you spend your life chasing treasure, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a box of treasure at the end and nobody with you. And that's exactly what happens with the boy. At the end of The Alchemist, the boy is there with a box of treasure. The woman who loves him is is continents apart, and he's got no children, right? And I have to admit, Coelho did a great job of showing exactly what happens if you spend your life pursuing treasure, right? So the book talks a lot about dreams. It talks about destiny. It talks about listening to your heart. One of the things I thought was really cool was it showed that if you are going to pursue a treasure, you're going to go on a journey. One of the problems is while you go on your journey, you're going to get smaller treasures just getting to your treasure, right? And that if you journey with treasure, you will lose them. You will lose them frequently because the world will take them from you. As you journey through this life, if you are an adventurer, if you are pursuing treasure, you're going to come across villains. It's shown very clearly in the book, and those villains will take your treasure at different points in life. So one of the lessons that I thought was in the book that I totally agree with is if you travel with smaller treasures, they absolutely will be taken, right? This book elevates the nomad life, but is truthful enough to show you can't keep super valuable things with you because they're going to get stolen. Right? I thought that was really good. One book thing the book said is when there's a part where he comes across these dudes and he's like, hey, they say, what do you got? He comes across these thieves and they say, what do you got? And he goes, I have the Philosopher's Stone and I have the Elixir of Life. The Alchemist says this, right? And they're like, you don't have the Philosopher's Stone, which tells all truths, and the Elixir of Life, which gives virtual immortality. And they just laugh at him. And Coelho said in the book, The Alchemist said, when you possess great treasures and you tell others that you have great treasures, you are rarely believed. Amen to that, brother. Especially with skill sets and all those kind of things. Brilliant people who have wonderful treasures within their hearts and within their minds are rarely believed when they show or tell that to anybody else. There are some good lines in there. The eyes convey the strength of the soul. And so essentially, the book, it went into Coptic monasteries. It went into him journeying to the pyramids. It also invoked the whole, at the end, he learns a lesson that he already knew. Come on, dude, man, you already told me that you knew. You shouldn't be putting old saw wisdom into your book that's been in a million other books, right? So, overall, I really love that Coelho built this. Oh, he put in another great line. Don't pay with something you don't have. Great line. And then he also put in there, life is generous to those who pursue their destiny. Nope, totally wrong. Life is not generous to those who pursue their destiny. Totally disagree. And again, in the end, the lesson of the alchemist is if you pursue treasure, right, you're going to end up alone with a box of treasure and no one who loves you and no children. That's my takeaway from The Alchemist. Excellently written, really cool, interesting book. Totally disagree with virtually everything Coelho said, but I'm really curious what you think. Please let me know in the comments. Thank you very much. Please consider liking and subscribing.